we might have Peterbot contesting Pollo again, even in globals. I want to talk about all the new drop spots. Clicks is now uncontested for globals. Veno is now uncontested. Mr. Savage has a new drop spot. We also got our first major update of the new season. We've had 2 of the medallions being nerfed. We had the minigun being buffed, the Wrecker Revolver shotgun being nerfed, and so much more. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Now, before I jump into talking about the new drop spots, why Pete is contesting Pollo, clicks now uncon for LAN, I want to talk about the update. I'm sorry, I'm a day late to this one. As you can see, I'm back home. I'm in my setup in Australia. I was currently in the air flying during this update, so I'm sorry I missed it, but I'll do my best to recap it now. Now, there was some big changes to competitive. There was some big changes to pubs. I'll cover all the changes, but I'll go through the competitive ones first because, again, that's what I'm going to be most interested in. First up, we have 2 major nerfs to the medallions. We have the slide medallion and the double jump medallion being nerfed. Now, the slide medallion, I don't know how much the nerf really is going to affect the medallion. I'm going to have to see it play out more. I do have a clip I'm going to show you later in the video of King going absolutely insane, sliding around, still looking pretty solid. The uphill boost is from 500 to 400, so it's nerfed a little bit. The ground level boost is from 1000 down to 500, so they actually halved the boost of the slide, so it has been a pretty significant nerf. And the speed increase from 1.3 to 1.2 times, so pretty solid, but not super insane. The double jump medallion, however, these stats don't really show it as much. I'll have a clip playing in the background here, you know, courtesy of Comp Report. This ain't looking too good. This just looks like kind of low gravity. I'm not really sure about this one. The energy cost from 20 to 30, so it's going to take more energy when you're doing the double jump. The horizontal jump force is from 1500 to 1350, so only a small nerf, but it looks a lot more significant when you see it. And then the vertical jump force from 1650 to 1350. So it does feel like this medallion got hit pretty hard, but maybe as we see people use it more often, they learn how to use it, it will still be solid. I am a little bit sad to see both these medallions being nerfed because, yes, while they're extremely strong, I love them. And especially in a trio competitive meta, naturally movement items or, you know, medallions like this that only one player on the trio gets, it kind of naturally nerfs them because if you use them too much and you get too far away from your team or you do things where they can't follow, you can get eliminated and you can put yourself out of position. I was really excited to see some insane solo clutches or trying to see, like, you know, players like Vico, Pollo, Peterbot, Pixie using these items on LAN and just going crazy. So we won't get to see that too much. They're still solid, but I'm guessing this nerf was mostly to address like solos for ranked and pubs and things like that, not so much competitive. But maybe Fortnite was worried about turning some of the best players in the world essentially into super soldiers at LAN, but they've both been nerfed. The only medallion that hasn't been nerfed is the shield medallion because that doesn't need a nerf. There is definitely nothing that needs to be nerfed on that medallion. It is 100% not strong enough, but right now these 2 medallions are going to be more balanced, and I will admit they do need to be more balanced, but man, I kind of loved it when they were crazy. It was so cool watching pros jump around and go crazy, and I really wanted to see that in the solo cash cups, but I get it. Epic's trying to balance the game. It's fair. Next up, the Wrecker Revolver gets a pretty significant nerf because now you can no longer double pump with it, but only with 2 Wrecker Revolvers, which isn't going to affect competitive too much or builds Fortnite. I think this is more of a no builds classic, running 2 Wrecker Revolvers and doing crazy amount of damage. Most of the players running double pump in competitive. There's a few pros running it a lot. Reed's been running it a lot. Pixie, Higgs, they've been doing it with a Sentinel and a Revolver, and you can still do that. That hasn't changed. That's still the same, but the Wrecker Revolver has just been decreased overall in its damage. It's been pretty heavily nerfed. So the decreased damage over range, damage from 50 meters away does 15 damage less, so it doesn't have that crazy range on it. Its max damage has been nerfed at every single rarity as well. It went from 190 down to 180 at gold and 140 down to 130 at gray, so a pretty heavy nerf across the board here. Again, removing the ability to double pump as well. I still think it's solid. I still saw a lot of pros using it today in the eval cup, so I don't think it's been nerfed into the ground, but it has been brought down a little bit. And one of the main concerns people had with this shotgun was the range, and I did talk about that in a previous video. If they are going to nerf anything about this season, I was expecting it to be the range of this gun. So not crazy, but it makes sense. We also saw a nerf, or at least an increase in how much you need to get each hero ranks. The military ranking has gone up in team game modes, so duos, trios, and squads. Looking at trios, for example, because that's the main comp game mode, to get to the highest rank, S+, you previously needed 8,000 hero rank, now you need 8,500. So it has been a pretty solid jump up, and that means it's even less likely we're going to see teams get that S+ ranking in competitive settings. You'll still get it in like pubs and ranked and things like that, but how many elims you have to now get to then get that S+ rank up is going to be really hard, and honestly, I'm not too mad about that. The mythics you get are absolutely ridiculous. Getting 3 mythic Havocs, 3 overclocked pulse rifles, or 3 mythic scars should be extremely hard to get to, so I'm not too mad about this. In solos, it's still going to be quite doable, so when the solo cash cups come back after globals, I still want to see some players dropping 40 bombs and getting crazy mythics. I'm excited for that, but in trios, at least for globals, it is going to be harder to hit that rank up. Now, it wasn't just all nerfs though. We got an item that got buffed, and it was the minigun. I didn't see this coming at all. I'm really not entirely sure what Fortnite was thinking with this one. I don't think it's going to be the craziest buff in the world, but they've reduced the recoil, so it's even easier to control the minigun now. And I don't think this is going to change too much, at least for competitive, because most of the top tier players were able to control the recoil anyway. The main strength of this gun was always the structure damage, not the player damage. If you try to use it to beam a player, you can do it if they're not building, but it doesn't do that much damage compared to the ARs or even just the SMG. But what it does do is shred through builds, and if you can't hit a box like a giant structure, recoil is not your biggest concern. So players will probably still carry this when they were going to anyway, use it for high ground, applying pressure in trios, especially in W key games. But the fact there's so many good items to carry right now, the minigun just doesn't really fit into too many of the metas, and that's the main reason why people aren't carrying it. So this has been a buff to it, and I might see people carry it a little bit more. I think it's just going to mostly buff it for like pubs and ranked, which good luck. You've already got people bug blasting your walls and, you know, shockwave launching, all that good stuff. Now you got to deal with a minigun being even stronger as well, but I don't think it should have a huge impact on competitive. We did see some nerfs that will affect ranked and pubs, which hopefully you guys are gonna be excited about. The spawn rate of the shockwave launchers and shockwaves have been reduced, and the swarm strike has been nerfed. The RPG, the damage per rock, has been reduced from 35 down to 30. So again, that makes sense. I think a lot of people wanted to see this item nerfed. I think it's still gonna be quite annoying to deal with, but for the most part, again, I'm mostly focusing on competitive here. Speaking of competitive, before I talk about the eval cups, I do want to talk about globals because we have some big new developments. Since I got on the plane, we now have Clix, Higgs, and Yomzo uncontested. Last video, I talked at length about how this spawn fight was going and whether I didn't know whether King was going to leave or not. King, Phaser, and PH Zin have left Supernova. Clix, Higgs, Yomzo are now uncontested, and King has done it to triple contest mid-map right now. I'm not entirely sure about this plan from King's team. They're going up against Seti and Gabzera now at the middle of the map right next to Kanata. Still no one dropping on Kanata, which surely they're going to have to start getting scared that one of these teams tries to kind of lurk up towards them. But King's team would rather go triple conned in the middle of the map than contest Clix and Supernova. So again, says a lot about Clix's ability to off spawn right now, which should be really, really good for them hopefully holding this drop spot down coming into land. Now I say hopefully because NA's chances at this land are looking worse and worse as we go. We haven't seen a change on the drop map just yet from Peterbot onto Pollo, but if you watch the Eval Cup finals, you know we had Pollo's team not qualify into finals, so they didn't go Demons. Pete's team seeing the chance went uncontested Demons and won 2 out of the 4 games. So that was without Cold, by the way, as well. Booga was filling in for Cold. So I was already talking about it in the last video. Peterbot talking about how he doesn't like the shield medallion at the Hive. He's triple conned by Tayson and Fredoxy. Now he's gotten his taste of Demons and he's liking it. They haven't switched just yet, but it's looking like it might happen. We'll see. I don't want to call it just yet, but another drop swap that I do actually know has happened. We have Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon leaving Canyon, meaning Vico, Veno, Flixie are now uncontested at the Canyon. They went from being triple conned. A lot of people question them. Veno, why are you doing this? There's no forecaster anymore. Why would you go triple contested Canyon? Well, it looks like Veno just knew. Whatever you want to say about Veno's off-spawn record of the last few seasons, it looks like he's got a very solid drop uncontested for the land. But it means Mr. Savage is still contested, but at least not by Veno. Savage's team deciding they want to land on the north split up near Resistance Base against Rise, Yuma, and Coyote. Again, what a lot of people are holding down as Asia's best trio. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Mr. Savage's team knows this area well as they're used to dropping the Resistance Base. It looks like they're more confident going up against Rise's team over on this north split. Again, that's not NA Rise, that's Asia Rise. There are 2. They would rather drop against this team on this split rather than contest Muzz at the Resistance Base they know well, but at least this area of the map they're still quite familiar with. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. Those are the major changes for the drop maps right now. As far as I can see for globals, nothing else has changed, but it's getting spicy. I'll keep you guys updated. Every video I make, I will tell you guys what's going on for globals. Don't worry. I do have to kick off this segment being the bearer of bad news. The Div Cups this week could be cancelled. At least the first day has been rescheduled. Fortnite status tweeted out, due to crashing issues, we're rescheduling tomorrow's divisional cups and will notify you about the new date soon. So that's the Div Cup that we're starting today as of you watching this video. It is a 2-day qualifier. At this point, it looks like tomorrow is still going to go ahead. There is a free day after that, so Fortnite could just make it so we have the 2 qualifiers 2 days in a row, and then we have the finals rather than that day in between, which I don't think would be the end of the world. The crashing bug they're talking about has been heavily affecting tournament settings. We had a lot of people crashing in opens in the Eval Cup. Luckily in the finals, it looks like not too many people were crashing. This has been heavily affecting the scrim scene as well. If you've been trying to watch any of the pro scrims, especially on NA, you probably noticed they have to reschedule a lot and they have to re-queue because like 30 to 40 people sometimes are crashing. Literally 40 people in a 99 player lobby are crashing and they're all getting the same bug. So until Fortnite can fix this, it looks like tournaments are coming under fire. They still ran the Eval Cup, which I was expecting was going to be a little bit rough, but for the most part, it looks like the luck was pretty solid. There was a few teams crashing. Clicks crashed in game 4. There was other big name profiles, especially in opens, but for the most part, the Eval Cup did still kind of run. But there is definitely a bug in the game Fortnite needs to fix, and them calling this off a day out kind of scares me that maybe they don't know how to fix the bug. It's very unlike Fortnite to call off something this far in advance, which makes me think that there is something solidly wrong with the game, or they just don't know. Again, I like the fact that Fortnite gave us a solid heads up rather than waiting until the tournament was starting to say that it's cancelled, but it does scare me a little bit. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail of the Eval Cup finals because, like I said, a lot of people crashing during opens, a lot of people crashing during finals, so I don't think it's the best indicator of performance right now, but I did already touch on one of the performances that definitely is worth mentioning because it could shape globals. Ritual, Peterbot, and Booga getting a 15 and 14 elim win from Demon's Domain. Again, this isn't a new trio. Booga's filling in for Cold. Cold's going back home to visit family. I'm guessing his plan was to be back for the Div Cups, but don't really know what's going on now. Maybe he'll prolong that one, but they managed to get 2 wins out of the 4 games in NA finals. We had Fishy, Rojo, and Chavi, our Hispanic boys, get an 11 kill win in the second game, and then Barker, Paz, and Pump, our NA West trio, playing on NA Central because there is no NA West eval, getting an 11 elim win. It's worth mentioning Barker's team also got a 4 elim 6th, 0 elim 9th, and a 5 elim 8th, so getting all 4 games inside the top 10. They're looking like one of the best chances for our small regions to perform at globals. Now, there are some big names missing there. Clicks, Higgs, and Yomzo did get a 2nd place, a 10 elim 2nd. They also got a 7 elim 4th. Clicks' team got to get a 4th in there somewhere. Then they got a 19th, and like I said, in game 4 they crashed. So overall, solid performance from them. But again, I don't want to take too much from this performance coming into globals and Div Cups because there was a lot of big teams missing. The other big team who I think did the most consistent and did insanely solid in a normal format would be dominating Canada, Rapid, and Bolts. 6 elim 6th, 11 elim 2nd, and a 7 elim 3rd. Very, very solid performance by them. Now, again, the Brazilian boys, the South American boys, I should say, managed to not do too well in the finals, but I don't normally show clips from opens, but this is one of the best solo clutches I've seen in a minute, and it comes from King. So this was King absolutely dominating in the open, showing the movement medallions are still pretty decent.
Te van a spamear, si no haces una play te van a ganar.
Eso.
Tenés doble coin en mi momento, amigo, ¿eh? Tenés doble espacio, eso. ¿Puedes subir? ¿Doble espacio?
No te... Mueve,
Mataste
mueve,
uno. Puedes voltear, amigo. Te pegué la finish. Te voy a bajar, Nice,
Whoa.
amigos, son malísimos.
Whoa.
Moving on over to EU, we had some performances we would have expected. Vanya, Pixie, Marius coming out and winning game 1 with a 10 elim win. I really thought Vanya maybe was going to try and go for a 2 or a 3 piece, but unfortunately their next 2 best placements was a 5th and an 8th. Still very, very solid from them. Probably the most consistent team in the finals. We had Hyper's team managed to come out and take game 2 after coming 2nd in game 1, so very underrated performance from an up-and-coming team. Then we had Specs' team managed to get a 2nd and a win in the 4th game, and then Pradar Charge, Turtle, and Gabix getting a 5 elim win. Now, some of our big teams missing, but don't worry, a lot of them got very close. Vico, Veno, Flixie getting an 11 elim third and a 16 elim fourth. Again, in a regular format, in a grands format with elim points would be an insane performance. Chap, Savage, and Rezon coming out strong. 2 elim third in game 1 and then a 9 elim fifth before unfortunately getting a 15th and 19th. We were missing quite a lot of our big teams in this finals. There was no Queasy. We did manage to have Malabuka, who made finals but didn't have as strong a performance as what a lot of people would be hoping for. Queasy is still on holidays right now, so I'm not looking too much for them as like an underperformance. I think he's just taking a break and chilling right now, but we were missing a lot of the big teams for EU finals. NA finals was a lot more stacked.